Hey, what's up, everybody? Wade Watches here, coming at you with another fresh out of the movie theater review. Not an initial reaction. Originally, I was gonna do that with Transformers One, but just for the sake of time, because I'm focusing a lot on my Scaring Myself Shitless Halloween series, I'm just gonna review it fresh out of the theater. And for those of you who just missed it, I did just get through watching Transformers One in Dolby Cinema. And first thing to say is that honestly, I was honestly planning on skipping this one. I'm not the biggest fan of the Transformer feature films, especially the first five directed by Michael Bay. Last two not directed by Michael Bay are all right, but nothing exceptional. So I was honestly planning on skipping this one, but I decided to see it kind of like at the spur of a moment because the animation was what really stood out to me, like just the look of it. And I was thinking that if it's gonna, be mediocre like all of the other live action films, like at least it'll be a good looking piece of animation. But it's more than just a good looking piece of animation. It's a solid story and character study as well. So I will say this for it, and this is kind of both works for it and against it because you kind of know where it's going, but it's still pretty good. This is essentially X-Men First Class with Transformers, where you do have that like legendary rivalry that's like been around for decades in pop culture. Professor X and Magneto, once they were friends, now they're mortal enemies. Same thing. Optimus Prime, Optimus, I almost said Magneto, Optimus Prime and Megatron, once they were friends, but we know them better as mortal enemies. How did they get that way? Same thing, but I mean that's a thing. That's the thing that's been around. So I'm not gonna hold it too much against the movie. Like I said though, I also said that because not only do we have that story, but there were parts of this movie that did like actually remind me straight up of X-Men First Class. Again, not complaining. X-Men First Class is a really great movie, and this is a pretty Transformers One is a pretty good movie. And before I even get to the end of the review, I'm gonna tell you this is the best Transformers movie in my opinion that we've ever gotten. The best feature film length Transformers movie that we've ever gotten. So allow me to spoil the ending of this review for you. So yeah, what really worked about this for me was really just that right there, just kind of like that evolution of just like watching like something that begins as this really close friendship. Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry are Orion Pax and D16 respectively, who of course become Optimus Prime and Megatron respectively. You really do feel their bond, you really do feel their chemistry, their friendship. They really do feel close to each other, but because of the events of this film, that friendship unfortunately doesn't last, and that's not a spoiler. We all know where that's going. Again, kind of like X-Men First Class, and they really did sell it because, of course, because they take different paths. Their characters have to evolve over time during the movie, and that's another, and that leads me into my other point about this film too. Kind of an abrupt tonal shift there because it starts out kind of like like kind of this like innocent little buddy comedy. Kind of reminded me of the Prince of Egypt, where again the beginning of that movie kind of like a little buddy comedy, but abruptly, because this isn't a long movie, clocks in at an hour 40 minutes, but abruptly, a couple of minutes, a few more minutes into the film, something happens, and then it gets like really serious. Of course, they're kind of in all the advertisements and commercials are selling this as a lighthearted kids film, an animated Transformers movie for the first time ever, like kind of like aimed more at the younger set here, and and near the beginning it is, but it actually does get pretty intense pretty quickly as well. If that tonal shift was kind of abrupt, it kind of threw me off guard because one second we're cracking jokes, we're this colorful, lighthearted buddy comedy, and then the next second like a truth, of course I'm not going to say what it is here, but the next second something very serious is revealed, and I'm just like, whoa, this like genuinely got darker than I ever could have expected it to get, because the live action PG-13 rated Transformers films themselves are not really really as serious as you think they are. This was more serious than any of those films put together. So, yeah, I wasn't expecting that. It worked both for it and against it. I'm glad this didn't just continue to be just kind of like that, like brainless, mindless, colorful, like ooh look jokes for kids. I'm glad they took a risk at telling a darker, definitely a much darker story. Kind of similar to what they did with I almost blanked on the name. Kind of similar to what they did with Across the Spider-Verse last year. So I appreciate that. I appreciate it when children aren't patronized, and when an animated film can be enjoyed by both kids and adults alike. I really do appreciate that. So not a complaint. It's just that tonal shift is kind of like an abrupt change. Other than that, I think I've pretty much touched on all the major things. Like I said, in a nutshell, Transformers One is definitely the X-Men First Class of Transformers. Works both for it and against it. Starts out very goofy, very lighthearted, buddy comedy. Kind of gets abruptly like really, really dark when you find out what's really going on here. But the cast makes it work. I particularly loved the leads, Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry, but Scarlett Johansson, Keegan-Michael Key, John Hamm, Lawrence Fishburne, they're all really good as well. So wrapping it up, I'm going to give Transformers 1 a well-deserved 9 out of 10. Looks like they finally found their balance in this franchise after again, I'm blanking. How many movies have there been? What, 7? After like 7 tries, I'm pretty sure there's been 7 live-action movies. Though Bumblebee was all right. I'm not gonna say Bumblebee was terrible, but the rest of them, they finally got a home run with this one. Transformers 1 is the best feature-length Transformers film we've gotten. It's a well, not perfect, but it's a solid 9 out of 10. It's close to perfect. It's close to a 10 out of 10. It's really good. It's just that kind of tonal shift that kind of comes out of nowhere. That's the one thing that kind of drags it down. I feel like if they might have considered like doing like a longer film, like Across the Spider-Verse was like closer honestly to like 2.5 hours. I feel like this could have benefited from that as well, so we could have had both tones. Just didn't really gel well, but other than that, I thoroughly enjoyed this from start to finish. And the main thing to enjoy here is just watching like kind of like the character study of Optimus Prime and Megatron evolve and their relationship evolve. So solid movie. Transformers 1 is definitely a 9 out of 10. This has been another edition of Wade Watches, and I will see you all next time. Peace.